second show. Again, we're back with the second episode of Beyond the Last Man. We have again our already now the second episode. Ian Gunnery as our guest and Brandon
Hey
Boyle.
guys.
How are you guys?
Oh, doing good.
Good,
Doing
good,
good.
good. Again, as I said, this is the second show. Like Jonathan is still in Munich, so he's enjoying. No, he's not in Munich. He's in Berlin drinking Munich beer. But okay, we forgive him for that. He needs a week off, and I think he's running the marathon as well, isn't it? On Bank Holiday
Yeah, I
Monday.
believe so. I believe so.
So he needs all the rest he can get. So hopefully, like uh, as said before and I said last week, I would like to dedicate these kind of shows for the rest of the Arsenal stuff that happening, specifically for the women's game, but we also do the Europa League and other stuff what comes up with the thing. And I think this week is just going to start off with the WSL and the Champions League, because on Thursday the women played against Lyon in the Champions League for the first group game. And they had an absolutely amazing game, 5-1, the European champions, and they just went there and made it look like, I don't know who they were playing, like, you thought they were still in the WSL. Great goals from Kathleen Ford, 2 goals, Frida Manum, who actually started instead of Vivian Miedema, and actually kept her out as well on the weekend, which is some signs of tactics, what Eidevall is showing at the moment. And the result is even better because, like, Williamson is still missing, and Sousa as well. So that's kind of our center pairing. And Catley and Moy still playing there as well. And they just had a really, really good game. Laura Windreuter as well, the Austrian, she, started now her 4th game in a row. And obviously Zinsberg as well, the Austrian goalkeeper. She has an absolutely amazing season so far. She only conceded that 1 goal. But yeah, it was an absolutely, I don't know, like I've never seen the Arsenal women play so good football. The goals were just spectacular, and even Beth Mead had 1, so she put into the tally. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And same in the weekend, they played Liverpool away. I think they could have had many more goals there. They made it harder than it looked. Same kind of like, like they were playing. I don't know, sometimes it looked like they had the handbrake on, had a few good chances, but Liverpool only coming up from the other season, so they I think lost 3 games in a row now. So it's tough for them like to coming up, but I can only see Chelsea and Arsenal, going that season, and I don't think they all say Man United. I'm not quite sure about that. I didn't see enough. I know they're on top of the league with us, but I don't think there is much in between Chelsea and Arsenal. And look, at long may it continues. Look, they're still top of the league as well, which is great. And yeah, and what I actually want to say, and that gives us a good bridge to the Europa League. The next women's game is actually after our game. Like the Arsenal men play PSV in the return leg on Thursday at 6:00 again, or 5:45 actually. And then after that, like the Arsenal women play Zurich at home in the Champions League, and then on Sunday we have like the men play Forest at 2, and then the women play the game after against West Ham at home. So there's football all over the shop. So if you don't have any time to do anything else, I don't blame you. It's even harder to make 2 podcasts about it. Well, but yeah, as I said, like as I said, dedicate this to the women, and once we get somebody on from the women's team or like, for the women's supporters, then you're just gonna do maybe something different in as well. And October is tough anyway with all them games, so let's see how that goes anyway. But coming now to the Europa League, we played PSV on Thursday in an early kickoff. I thought it was a tough enough game. We all expected it, like, we were talking about Gapko and all this kind of like, like how good of a thing is. I thought he had didn't see the ball. We really defended well. I thought we played really solid, with even the guys we had on the pitch. Had few chances, and then this super Xhaka goal with his right foot, and then he repeated that on the weekend as well. Like, so he scored 2 goals with his right foot, which is amazing. So there's no stopping this man. I thought we deservedly won. I don't think there were any threat at all. I don't even know if the Ramsdale had much to do. So that just shows how good we are actually. And maybe in the second half we bit of fatigue, but whatever, we brought on a few players but that's what it is. We're playing every 4th day now nearly now. So we just have to reserve. Be interesting now how we're gonna set up for the away game, because we were mentioned in the podcast before. I think obviously if we get a draw, we qualified, and that's great. But he might want to see, like, put out his normal team, see how we go. Don't risk any of the Martinelli, because they really do look tired in the league. So maybe give them a rest, and then I can't see us losing at home to Zurich. That's one thing. So we only need 1 point there. So let's see how it goes. But I want to ask you guys. You probably seen the weekend as well. It's obviously a much better game than we had before against Bodo Glimt or against Zurich. So how did you see? Is it going to start with you, Ian? You probably have a thing out of it.
Yeah, I think much what you said yourself, Martin. I think it was quite a close game, which we expected. I mean, I think it was a close game in terms of, I suppose, the overall action that happened, but I don't think there was many, I suppose, chances on goal that PSV kind of had much on us. But I do think in the midfield department there was a lot of, I suppose, duels happening within the midfield, but I think we handled it quite well. I think, like, the frustrating thing, although we got the result, as we've seen at the weekend, as well as in this particular game against PSV, where we don't seem to be taking our chances. And like, I mean, a game that finished 1-0 should have been a game on another day that would have been 4 or 5-0. Do you know what I mean? We had the potential to be out of sight, really. And yes, okay, you'll get a fan, but like myself at the end of the day would say, look, we got the 3 points. That's all that matters. But as we learned, unfortunately, at the weekend, when you don't take your chances, it will eventually come back to bite you in the butt. Not that kind of way. I think. But look, staying, I suppose, on the positive side of things, Xhaka really took his goal quite well. I think he's been immense this season. He's a completely different player to the Xhaka of old. I think he's loving where he is. I think he's loving the fact that he can be a captain without being a captain in a way. Like, he's being a captain without the armband. Really, that's the way I look at it, and I think it suits him. He doesn't need to have an armband to prove that he's able to pull the team together. You can see it. You can see it every time he steps on the pitch. That he knows how to get the most out of each player.
Yeah. No, he definitely. I mean, he's the captain in the Europa League, isn't it? Yeah, he actually had the armband in the Europa League, so I think that's kind of like, But look, I don't think anybody would begrudge him, even if he takes the armband like in a normal game. But because we have Odegaard, we have that anyway. I think Ian is now having difficulties as well, like last week. I don't know what can you hear us, Ian?
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's good. I just want to say, but as you said, like, I think Xhaka really, he's taken to it. Like, I don't think he has that pressure of being captain. So he's a leader anyway, because he's one of the oldest in the team, But I think it suits him not to have that being captain, like per se. But whenever the chance comes, and when Odegaard goes off, he takes the armband, or as I said, in the Europa League, I think it's quite good. But yeah, one thing at point as well, but probably I'm gonna make as well, is like, we've seen it a few times now that we just don't take our chances. And Gabriel Jesus, 100%. Like, I'm not quite sure if he's not 100% fit or whatever. He still creates chaos. He still creates all this kind of good play, but he just doesn't take his chances. And then unfortunately on the weekend it bit us. We got away with it today, but we should really kind of, like, in the momentum we have, we should be up like 1-2 away and then just kind of play out. But yeah, we have to get more clinical, and if you can, like, if that's, look, we're still top of the league. If we can get that to a game, like, Jesus, like, we can really play well. Brendan, how did you see the PSV game?
Well, I was worried about them before, and as I said last week, some players that they had, I was really watching out for, and Gakpo obviously being the prime one, and we're linked to him again even this week, and I thought he was really disappointing. He didn't get a kick, to be fair to him, and to be fair to the defence, they played really well, and we were, like, as far as I can see, we controlled the game and we controlled it really well, but we didn't look like killing them off, and there was always a little bit of a worry, which came to fruition again against Southampton. at the weekend, and that is a concern. And the centre forward is always going to go through lean spells, and it's up to the rest of the team to step up to them. And they're not really like Eddie. Eddie hasn't really impressed too much in his appearances in the Europa League, which is disappointing because I thought at the end of last season he looked a different player.
Yeah.
And away to Bodo Glimt, I thought he was terrible. Didn't look interested. He wasn't closing down. And I know we're comparing him to Jesus, who is a real jack in the box, and as you were saying, causes mayhem all over the place. But Eddie's got his big $100,000 a week supposed contract, and he's a senior player now. He's got to step up if he gets these opportunities. He can't just be shrugging his shoulders and not doing it. And he's missing a few bad chances. That like there was one like I think he's fired over, one he should have chipped in. It's not good enough. And even like that's the thing I'm thinking about in the forward line. But even I'll go into the midfield and Lokonga, he just seems to be a real I don't know how to describe it. Really like a safety first type player. The only exciting passes that he's playing are across pitch passes about 60 yards out to Tierney or whoever might be out on the opposite side of the pitch. And again, then there's safe passes. There's all you've got to do is stay at 3 or 4 players' heads. He's not taking the ball and dribbling past anyone. And he's been disappointing as well. And I know he's talking to the Belgian press about how he thinks he should be in the squad. He's lucky to be in the Arsenal squad at the moment. Which again is disappointing. But one other thing that I did note, and I thought Kieran Tierney played really well against PSV, and he was obviously dropped for the weekend. And I think he gives us the width and that overlapping run, which Tomiyasu doesn't. He's an inverted. He was like Tomiyasu when he was playing. He's playing in central midfield, and that takes away from our left-hand side of the pitch. I think you can see on the other side with Saka and Ben White or whoever is over there. There's an overlap from the fullbacks. Yeah. There's no overlap on when Tomiyasu is playing there. Only when Tierney's playing there, and that takes away from our attacking style of play, I think, as well. So hopefully, it's something that will be binned.
Been addressed,
yeah.
And I think it's one of the things specifically with Nketiah. I know he had a great run last season. Like when he actually had to step up to it. And I think, in fairness to him, because he was playing in the senior team, he also had some of the players like who were feeding him better. He played in his position. And at the moment, he really only played against Zurich, and he played in a plastic pitch in Bodo Glimt, And then when he played now, and I was actually, I know we played PSV, but I was surprised to play them both. I would have actually rested Jesus because I'm not sure. I think he's not fit. He got a bit of a knock, he gets knocked around. He played quite a lot. That was the reason why he rested him seemingly when he go to Bodo. Then he played the weekend, and everybody thought he wouldn't. So I wonder if that has something to do with his confidence that he's not completely fit. But I also would have thought it would have been Nketiah because he played on the left side again. So he played a winger, and that's not his real game. So obviously depending as well who he plays with, what kind of balls does he get? He has a different role. So look, I do agree. I don't think fingers crossed Jesus doesn't get a heavy injury, because that would really put the cat amongst the pigeons with Nketiah, because then he would really have to step up. But I think is when he gets that pressure, he does step up.
Totally, absolutely. Totally.
So unfortunately, we didn't see enough of him. The 10 minutes he comes on, he doesn't change the games. Sometimes it's nearly all over. So maybe on the weekend now against Southampton, he had his chance. But again, it's just very tough, to come into a team like that as well. So, okay, I give him the benefit of the doubt.
Though in that regard as well, I'm thinking in my head, we've Chelsea coming up, so even play Jesus on Thursday, which I know sounds bizarre, but play him, rest Nketiah, then don't play Jesus against Forest and play Nketiah against Forest because he gets a yellow card against Forest, he can't play against Chelsea. So
exactly. That's one reason, and I think we do have, like, and I said it in the last podcast. I think at the moment we have a great starting 11. We do have a bit of depth as well in the game, but I think we're not quite predictable in the Premier League. So it really needs to be changed up for it. For me as well, Tomiyasu, like, that's why Gapko didn't get a game, because he was actually doing what he was doing, because he couldn't go forward. Tierney would have been maybe a better choice on Saturday for being the thing there. It's all like if and buts, we just don't know. Like, we don't see what's happening in training. For me, one of the big issues what we have in the Premier League at the moment is that Zinchenko, what he played at the start, he played such an amazing game with Xhaka and Partey. That was the triangle that made everything move. And that freed Odegaard. Odegaard was more able to passing. Now we're kind of like, we have Tomiyasu or Tierney, which doesn't play the same role as Zinchenko plays. Obviously, we can only play 11 players. That's fair enough, But whatever Zinchenko gave us, this kind of little cog, like going into the thing and kind of start everything moving. And that would be, for me, like, he's injured now with 3 games, I think. So that is really missing. But I think we have to rotate, like, because there's so many games coming up. Look, it worked out against PSV. It'd be interesting what the situation is. How is he going to play for the return game? Because you have to have a look at the Forest game, and then there's 2 more games against Chelsea, and then there's look. I hope we get a draw, because then he can play the under-13s against Zurich. So I can really rest something. So he has something what you want, because you don't want to lose the game, because you don't want to get into this kind of rut, have a draw, lost. But on the other side, are you going to play your bet and you're going to go for the league? It's going to be a wait up. But I do agree. Like, Nketiah needs to improve. That's what he gets this contract for. Look, it's a long-term project maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're actually going to go for somebody in the January window, just to cover it, because with Smith Rowe not being fit either, he's a missing link as well. Because in some ways on the weekend, our bench looked a bit weak. There wasn't anything really different to come up, because specifically when you play so many games, because everybody's playing, everybody's tired in some ways, they all play, like they had to travel. But look, we got away with we're top of the league there as well. So a point would do, and then we can really rest somebody for the Zurich game, because they are absolutely shocking.
One of the things I was texting over the weekend, that Arteta was saying that players should be playing 70 games a season every 3-4 days. I completely agree with him. Like, we played 19 seasons on the trot in the Champions League, and there was never this call for players to be rested every 3. It was too tough for them to play games a week. And all of a sudden, we're only out of Europe 1 season, and these guys seem to be. There's something very strange that they're dropping such level in the second half of the last few games.
The only thing what I can think of is the whole way that COVID happened. To be fair to some of the players, I mean, they didn't have really a lot of break as it is in the thing, because of the league went on longer than the European Championships, and then I think so they didn't have many breaks. And now, specifically now, with the bloody World Cup being on as well, I don't think we ever had such a busy October than we had this year.
Probably true.
And there is definitely, but I do agree with you. Look, this is their sport. I have to work 5 days a week. I have a weekend off. So I know, and I'm not getting paid that much, and they're much younger than us, and so. But like you don't want to see injuries or thing, and I think, look, we're not the only ones in that kind of thing. Like, you can see as well, and that, look, so many dropped points during the weekend, and has that something to do with, like, look at Liverpool, so many injuries. I haven't got the players available. United, they're all struggling in some way. Spurs, they haven't got the players, and it's all fatigue, because, like, the injuries come from when you play quite a lot of games. And I do understand what he said. Like, you have to play them 70 games, specifically at that age. But I think the whole way this thing is just a bit different.
Yeah, but even on that, like the thing is, like, okay, it's frustrating, and it you do have to think of player welfare and all that kind of thing as well. But from an Arsenal point of view, it probably will benefit us, because when when you look at our starting 11, like our strongest 11, now I'm saying obviously our starting 11's a bit iffy at the moment with injuries, but you look at our starting 11, pretty much all of them, bar Xhaka and maybe the likes of Saka, maybe, would be the only ones that are going to go to the World Cup.
And play.
So in that regard, like, just like they're going to have that rest to when they come back. So it's just a matter of monitoring them, I suppose, up till the break, and then hopefully after that they will have the time to, I suppose, get the rest that they need. Because in fairness, as you mentioned there with COVID, like there was very little gap between when the league finished up to when they were straight into pre-season again. Like, you know,
and that's what I mean. Like, you know, and I think, look, I don't have heard yet an official complaint from the manager. And I know he said, like, you know, there's quite a lot of games to be played, and it is definitely going to put a strain on any kind of squad, you know, when you only have so many you can play. But I don't think that behind the scenes, you know, like none of them says I'm going to be tired, you know, but you just have to be worried about it. But you're right, the World Cup is going to be something like, beside the Brazilians probably, you know, they're going to go, and depending on who's going to play from them. But there's rumors that they're going back to Dubai for they're taking the 4 weeks off and doing like some kind of a training camp what they had in Dubai, like a warm weather training. I think that might do them well because, you know, they have a bit of where they can relax and whoever's going to be there. Because that's another worry. If you don't play for 4 weeks, like it's nearly kind of like another preseason, you know. So if you don't play for 4 weeks I've seen a report somewhere, like, you know, you can see if a player doesn't train for 2 weeks, the drop in the muscles, the drop in the agility and everything. So they can't go for a holiday. That's just not possible. So what they would have to have is kind of like a leisurely training holiday in some kind of way, you know, like where they have a bit of break, don't do too much, do a bit of physio, do a bit of strength, whatever. And that's what you want to do, because the least what you want is come back and have players who are not fit then, you know, and that's the worry about it, you know. But look, this season is just crazy.
Another thing, we should use, like, we've the youngest team in the Premier League. We should use it to our advantage. Like, if there's players there that could play in the reserves or play in the under 21s, play them. You know, they're kind of play them. Like, I'm sure, like, you're not breaking any rules there. Do you know,
no.
If they can get game time, like, here or there, you know, swap your players in each week or like each year. Like, as you said there, Martin, like, take a few of them to Dubai. The ones like Nekatia and stuff like that, play them in the reserves, like, just to get their game time up. They're not going to, like, at the end of the day, they're footballers. What they want to be doing is playing football.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not going to have many of them complain, but at least then they're staying match fit, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, 100%.
And the league
it's a funny one.
The World Cup as well. There's not a big break, so.
It's crazy, yeah. So you wonder, like, you know, what team is going to go to the final? You know, who's it going to England against Brazil? So yeah, look, we don't know, like, but it's a funny one, and I'm sure, like we are thinking about this. You know, I'm sure there's some people in Arsenal, you know, who already have this kind of, like, you know, sorted out what they're going to do. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But look, I think we are making a bit more of it as well, because, like, they're slowing down. You know, it's fatigue. There might not be fatigue. It's just kind of, I don't know, just bad form or whatever, bad look or whatever it is. So, and we were saying that as well. Like, if we would have scored 2 goals and we got a penalty, or the fouls would have been given on Sunday, you know, we probably would have won 3-4-0, and we wouldn't have said anything about fatigue or I have to rotate or whatever. So look, it is what it is. I thought the game was good. What do you think for the return game? And I don't know. I'm still not sure about PSV. Like, you know, when you say Ajax, I just don't see. We've seen all the highlights from Zurich against PSV, you know, like, and Bodo Glimt against PSV and whatever, but it just didn't look as threatening. So I'm just wondering if we actually go there. I wouldn't be surprised if we can get the result there as well. I don't think they're as threatening, but saying that depends what's coming up, you know.
Yeah, they got beat 4-2 at the weekend as well.
Yeah. PSV. So I wonder, you know, like, what can, I mean, they're not like, I know they're the strongest, beside those that they're on paper, they're the second strongest team in the team.
They're good side, but I'm not. Yeah. I'm not worried about them. But even if he puts a weakened team out, it doesn't concern me because we got Zurich, we need a point against Zurich, and that's it. And as we were saying earlier, I'd rather put a weakened team out against PSV and the other way around. Put a strong team PSV, get your point, and then rest them all for Chelsea. So if it ends up biting us on the bum, then I think we can obviously get a result against Zurich easily. So, but that's what the manager's paid for, to make those decisions.
Yeah, that's what it is, So, but look, for me, like I would definitely go with like a score draw. I think I would take any time, like a 1-1, a 2-1. If you get a win, fair enough. As long I don't want to lose. That's why I don't want us to go into this kind of losing habit. It's not we didn't have a habit yet, but I think once you want to keep the momentum going, and I think a win. I'd say if we have the weekend team out and we win, that would push such a next thing to the Sunday game, and you just don't want to go in with any loss in your bag. So I go for a score draw. I hope I'm right, and then we'll see what's going on. What do you think?
Ian.
No, I think, to be honest, I think we're going to win, and I'll tell you why. I don't think we're going to win by a massive scoreline. I think we'll just maybe win 2-1, 1-0. Reason being is it's as much as we need to just get a draw or just get a good result, PSV need to get a result as well. We need to remember that as well. They're going to come out at us, and that suits our gameplay down to the ground. We love teams that attack us because we can catch them on the counter attack. So, I mean, we've shown over the years we're a great counter attacking side when we want to be. So I think it doesn't matter who we put in. Do you know what I mean? Like even rest players for the PSV game, because all it takes is us to do something similar, to what we did at the weekend. Unfortunately, I obviously didn't finish the way we wanted it. But start strong, get in early goals, and then you could be 1-2-0 up, before half time, and the job isn't realistically done then, But I think we also need to be a bit, I suppose, wise to it as well. Yes, we've Forest at home on the weekend, but it's also a game, as we've seen against Liverpool, that you can't really underestimate them either. So I think where it comes to Jesus, I would definitely, I'd rather him play Thursday than the weekend, just purely because he's 1 yellow card away from a ban. But I think, now look, if we're going off the first game, I thought we were the better team. I thought we made the game look tighter than it was. I think if we had took our chances, the game would have been out of sight a lot sooner than it was. So I think if we can play even 50% like that away to PSV, I think we should get the 3 points. But look, again, similar to yourself, Martin, I'm not asking for anything other than to just top the group. So I mean, if you get a boring 0-0 draw, it's not the end of the world either.
Yeah, like 1-0 to the Arsenal. I mean, I wouldn't mind that on Sunday as well. So it's one of these things. What about yourself, Brandon? What are you hoping for?
Well, I think Ian made a really good point there about they need a result against us, and they really need a win against us. And the last game, they really sat back and tried to soak everything up, whereas this time they're going to have to go for it, which plays right into our hands. And you've got, even if he plays a weakened side, if he has Reece Nelson out there, Marquinhos, these guys are lightning quick, and they'll cause any problems. And Nketiah as well, he'll start. So that's 3 really, really quick guys. So it play, as you say, it'll play into our hands. And if that's the way they're going to go, it's a great way to get results. So, and I think we'll get a result one way or the other anyway. So, but we get an early goal, their heads are gone. So it's just have to be professional. I think all the guys that have come in have been really professional. They play the same way. They do as they're told. There's no change in the style of play when anybody comes in, which is fantastic. So, and they're all good enough to be in the first team at some stage. So, when they get their chances, they got to step up to the plate and do what they have to do. So,
And I think as well, we have to use that platform, to give the players on the fringe, some time. Like as I said, you Lokongas, and again, I think it's the same with Lokonga, what we have with Nketiah. He didn't really have much time to play anywhere, and then he goes into a game which is a bit weak, and so he has to learn, and that's the whole point about him. Can he learn more in Arsenal playing these kind of games than he can go on alone and play in and out? So that's the kind of question he has to ask himself, and can he learn fairly quickly, because as you said, we had injuries and we just don't want to be in that situation. I see positives in Lokonga, but he's not we can't compare him to Partey. We just can't. Like he's not the player there. And in fairness, that's not what we bought him for. But yeah, like you just don't want to, and you want to step up to the plate now. That's your platform. Step up to the plate, show what you can do, and then we can see, because that's the whole point about these games, and hopefully, we can do this on Thursday, put the whole group to bed, and then we should be all good for the Zurich game, and it gives us a bit of breather as well, I think, in the Premier League. So yeah, that should be doing good.
Yeah.
Beside that, actually, as I said, it's going to be another busy Thursday and Sunday. So 2 games on Thursday, 2 games on Sunday. WSL and Champions League and Europa League and Premier League. So it should be hopefully another strong Arsenal week. Let's hope that. Fingers crossed for all that. And have other things you would mention? Anything you've seen? Anything you would like to mention besides killing the referees?
And
I think when it comes to the Sky Sports making the fixtures, I've seen they put the times up for Christmas fixtures, and they have every single one of Arsenal's fixtures as a nighttime kickoff, which I am kind of thinking, where's the fairness there? Like in terms of travel and everything else, like.
That's what it is. Look, and as I said, there might be a conspiracy theory. We don't know. I look personally. I don't look at any other fixtures. I don't know what teams are getting. How they treat it. I have no idea. I just see it from the Arsenal point of view. And some things you really look at it and say, what is going on? But look, it is what it is, as they say. And Arsenal are a big book, so they play them at night time. That's where they get the most money. That's where they get the thing. Like we are suffering on so many angles with tickets, with people want to go there and see them, and that's the price you pay for success. So I'd rather have that than look. I don't care if the players are traveling in a first class jet at nighttime. It is the fans really what's worrying about. Because there is a lot of travel, there's a lot of thing, and it's just inconvenient. And even then 2 games with PSV, like 6 o'clock. What the hell? Imagine you work it's one, but that's just what it is. And then they have to get the television rights in. They have to get it done. Like in fairness, thank God we got that game played last week. Because we didn't want to forfeit it, So that's one thing is, and that's what it is. But it's not easy to be a fan. Imagine it's for the players. 10 games in October. Like imagine you're a fan and you go to every game. You haven't got a job. Like what else are you gonna do? Unless you can bring and work from the stadium, every time you're gonna go somewhere. I don't know. It's a tough job. But listen, guys, thanks again for today. It was a good show. Hopefully we have more to talk about success next week. We'll see. Jonathan might be back and he might take it over the other show again. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we get 4 wins. That would be absolutely fantastic. And we'll see where we get on. All right, guys, thanks very much. We can get the show, as I said. Actually, that's another thing. 2,500 subscribers now, which is absolutely amazing. We in the space of 4 weeks, we gained over 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. So
I come back 4 weeks ago.
Well, you can take the thing on it. You have the Nketiah thing on it. We came back and he scored all them goals. No, but look, it's really good to see where we're going with this, and hopefully, as I said, we can get much more onto it now, and see how we can get out of there. Lads, thanks very much. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I probably see you next week. All right.
You too, Martin. Take care, man.
Thanks very much, guys. Right. See you later. Thanks.